How do we create our own reality when the power of the collective reality keeps pulling us, pushing us into its collective chaotic energy? Because right now, no matter where you look, you're being served a version of reality you are expected to accept as your own. Inflation, AI, layoffs, international uncertainty. Little by little, this influence begins establishing itself in your subconscious and begins to put up barriers on what you unconsciously believe are possibilities for your future. So in this video, I want to talk about how we can stay rooted in our assumption that our reality can get better and that we can manifest our desires, no matter what is going on in the collective, no matter how often everyone tries to convince us that everything sucks now. Hi, my name is Allison, and on this channel, we discuss reality creation through the lens of identity shifting, self-concept, and creating our own inner authority with which to experience the reality we choose. Okay, to start, let me give you a scenario, and I want you to imagine how you would feel. You own a home on a residential block, and one night you get woken up by the sound of fire trucks. You go running out onto your porch, and you can see a few houses down, a house on fire. And as you watch that house burn, the fire jumps to the next house, and then to the next one. It is getting closer to your house. How would you feel? What kind of primal energy would go surging through every cell of your body? Fear, obviously. And we all know this is not some voluntary reaction. Fear is a primal force. Now, imagine a firefighter comes up to you and says, "Do not worry. We have created a fire break. The fire is being diverted away from your house. Your home is safe." Now, how would you feel? Not better. Not really better. And I bet you know what I mean, because we've all been in scenarios where we've experienced the conflict, this duality of intellectually understanding something, that the home is going to be okay, but at the same time, our heart, our body, our unconscious is still in fear and panic. Well, this is the exact state of being of many, many people on the planet Earth currently. Intellectually, you may be proceeding with life as per usual. You may be affirming that your desires are coming to you. You may be working on and believing that you create your own reality. But underneath that is a layer of energy that is absorbing what we are visually seeing and hearing with our ears of complete change and chaos coming through our phones and our TVs every day. We're essentially watching a fire burning and getting closer and more ingrained into our vibration every day. And when that primal fear becomes more vibrationally weighty, it can become more forceful than the desire we're working on. That outside force can be more dominant than the reality we're trying to create. And when that happens, it's the collective force that ends up creating our reality for us. Okay, so naturally, the question becomes, how do we hold our desired assumption so firmly in our beingness, in our body and subconscious, so that not only does our house remain standing firmly when disaster hits, but we are also able to thrive and expand beyond current circumstances? Well, I will tell you now, based on this little scene I saw the other day. A while back, I saw this massive Rottweiler being walked by this little old lady. The juxtaposition was hilarious. And my husband saw it and said, if that dog takes off, it's all over. And that is exactly a perfect representation of how most people are absorbing the outside world. See, right now, that little old lady thinks she's walking the dog, but this dog is a much greater force of nature than she is. And since she is not an energetic match to it, when that dog sees a cat and starts chasing it, that lady is going to get knocked down. In other words, she appears to be in control only because the stronger force has not challenged her yet. And that is what is true for most people out there. They are consuming the show going on in the world, thinking, I'm just observing, it's no big deal. But we know from our manifestation learnings that what we repeatedly give our attention to starts to become familiar. And what becomes familiar starts to feel real. So when the vibrations of fear, scarcity, uncertainty have been given a ton of repetition and energetic weight from our attention, more than our own chosen desired reality, then that energetic imbalance, when something unexpected happens, if we have not taken the time to fortify our own inner authority, our own version of reality, if we haven't taken the time to establish those parameters, then we will get knocked down. We will get sucked into that vibration of disaster, fear, uncertainty. As Frederick Dodson puts it, you don't get what you want, you get what you vibrate. So, how do you begin to build that kind of inner fortification, the inner authority to continue to create your reality in the face of any other reality they're showing you? Well, you have to decide the parameters you are willing to accept as true for you and your life experience before the S hits the fan, right? If you're being served a plate of broccoli by your grandma and you know you need to eat all of that, it would be helpful if you had decided beforehand that you really like broccoli and not try and force yourself to like it in the moment. Because in the moment, if we are not ready to accept the wind of change, we will get knocked over. We set up the parameters for our reality now so that when circumstances change, we are already vibrating the energy that will give us access to help, to good ideas, to synchronicities, to luck, all of the energies that will allow us to experience reality in terms we've already established. So take some time right now. Work on the following, answering this question. What are the things about me that are no longer up for negotiation? Create a list of parameters as if you were a company writing like a mission statement or rules of conduct for their employees, right? Let's write up some rules that bind us into our reality, okay? Things like, good starting points are, I always land on my feet. I am always cared for. There is always an opportunity available to me. Money finds its way to me. Things have a way of working out in my favor. Whatever happens, I trust myself to know what to do next. Create the parameters from which to experience your reality. But these cannot be nice little affirmation bumper stickers. We have got to take these statements and make them a real vibrational weight that can match, that can withstand the vibrational weight being thrown in our face from all of these headlines and things going on out there. And we have to work on it now before we need them. Neville said, the subconscious accepts as true that which you feel as true. Think about why the outside world is so convincing. We see it every day. We hear it repeated. It is given to us in the form of influencers we trust, doctors, professors from fancy colleges. There is an immense weight and legitimacy or realness to all of it. It is that tremendous amount of repetition and emotional rehearsal we've already been doing that we need to make sure we are giving the same amount of weight and repetition to the reality we want to actually experience. So for example, when you say something like, I always land on my feet, we're not just repeating an affirmation. We got to now establish that as a subconscious fact. You can do that in ways such as creating a journal log every day and just picking, don't wait for like the perfect example of landing on your feet. Make it be true now. So just find something from today and say, yeah, that was me landing on my feet. Just take any scenario and create the meaning of landing on my feet. So maybe you sent an email to a client and you got approval. Okay, there you go. That's me landing on my feet. Look at that. I sent out a question. I got a yes. We're establishing realness, vibrational weight. Anything counts. If you can't think of anything from today, pull out some memories. Repeat the same old memory over and over. Maybe you have a real good example of a time where you landed on your feet. Take a current conflict and write about it past tense as if it's 6 months from now. And write generally, that all worked out. Wow, it was so surprising and shocking. I can't believe how it all came together, but it all worked out for me. I totally landed on my feet. You don't have to come up with plausible X, Y, and Z happened and that proves the statement. Just generally we're creating the feeling. We're establishing that as true in our reality now. Let that be your work. Make these familiar. This is what Neville meant when he taught that an assumption persisted in eventually hardens into fact. Because at some point, I always land on my feet will stop being something you're trying to believe and will become something you simply know about yourself. That's the internal weight we're going for. Now, I want you to see what having that kind of internal foundation will bring for you. It benefits us greatly to allow the definition of manifesting to evolve into meaning that you refuse to allow what is happening out there predetermine what your experience of it will be. There can be mass layoffs without your story being unemployment or financial struggle. A disaster can be happening without disaster being the way you experience it, because the events are always collective, but your experience of it does not have to be. Now, side note, I want to be very clear, there's no place for ignoring what's happening around us. I live in an earthquake zone. I have an earthquake preparedness. I have water stocked up, food supplies, flashlights, family meetup spot. That does not mean I'm manifesting an earthquake. I can engage in those preparations and still hold the assumption that everything is always working out for me, that my family is always safe. So while some people prepare from fear and not wanting to suffer, I prepare because it is appropriate to live appropriately within society. And at the same time, I maintain the assumption that I will not experience disaster in a disastrous way. You see what I'm saying? It's two different things. We are allowed to look at the world around us and be practical and prepare. Think critically. Make good judgment calls. If somebody's being creepy, you don't go down a dark alley with them. You know, we're physical and spiritual. So of course, we should rely on both things to position ourselves firmly inside the reality we want to experience. We are simply taking it a step further and acting intelligently, energetically, fortifying ourselves inside an energy we've predetermined is true for us, so that when we have to deal with things unexpectedly in front of us, we do not succumb to them. We have decided that whatever changes out there, I remain the authority over what those changes mean to me. Now, if what you are dealing with currently is what to do with an already built up feeling of fear and uncertainty, then I have a video that I think is very valuable and I know will help you dissolve some of that resistance and fear that might have built up already. And I will link it here. And I have a freebie for you. For watching this video and getting to this point, I have a link below in the description for a free access to a manifestation study session I am currently creating and will be available soon. So if you sign up at the link, when it's ready, I will send it to you for free. And I only ask that you fill out a questionnaire when you're done experiencing it so that I may improve the next one I produce. And I hope that this video was valuable to you, and I would love to hear about it in the comments, and I look forward to bringing you more. Thank you.